It's the first time the Egyptians get a chance to choose their own leader in 5,000 years of history, I think we can say, going back to the pharaohs through imperial times and during the military dictatorship that's ruled the country for the last 60 years. And there's a lot of excitement on the streets. There's been a huge debate over the last 3 weeks of this campaign between the different candidates and also between ordinary people, even between members of different families. And there's a big generational gap as well in attitudes towards the election. The older generation are a bit nervous, they're a bit scared, they've never seen anything like this before, and they're concerned about the lack of stability that they see in Egypt since the revolution on Tahrir Square last year. They're worried about crime, they're worried about their children's futures. The younger generation are very excited that they think that they're going to have a chance to influence their own futures. And so even on Twitter and on social media networks, you can see arguments between friends, arguments between fathers and sons, mothers and daughters. And the other interesting thing about this election is that it really is too close to call. No one can really believe that the Islamists, the Muslim Brotherhood, are out of the picture since they are so popular and since they won the parliamentary elections. So it's a very close battle as far as we can see between the Muslim Brotherhood candidate, Mohammed Morsi, another Islamist called Abdul Naim Abdul Fattah, who's a sort of liberal, middle-of-the-road Islamist, if you like, and these two secular candidates, Amma Musa, who's a former foreign minister, and Ahmed Shafiq, who really is the old regime candidate. He's a former general. And then sort of coming up on the rails, sort of rather unexpectedly in the last week of the campaign, there's been a guy called Hamdeen Sabahi, who's really sort of caught the imagination, particularly of the younger generation, particularly of the urban sort of liberal voters who don't like the old regime but are sort of nervous of the Islamists. And he's a sort of radical left-wing, a sort of George Galloway of Egypt, if you like. He's anti-American, he's anti-Israel, he believes in left-wing economic policies. But it makes for a lively race, and people are already out there and voting. I think if this former general Ahmed Shafiq wins, I think there will be trouble. He wasn't anywhere in the polls until a couple of weeks ago, and he's suddenly shot up in the polls. And a lot of people think that there's something dodgy about those polls, that the army are sort of like preparing the way to force him into power. There have been rumors about former regime officials buying votes on his behalf. It's not necessarily true. I mean, a lot of people, as I say, are nervous about instability and think that a general will, make things safe and keep things square with the army, if you like. So he is getting a lot of support on the streets. That will be heavily opposed by both the liberals who created the revolution last year and the Islamists who think that it's a sort of sacrifice of everything they fought for.